Hello, 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 lovelies. I hope everybody's doing good this evening. We are 12 minutes behind. 12 minutes. I'm aware. You ain't got to tell me. I know. We know. We're aware when we get here.
Partially, it's because we were
I mean, we're partially conscious at least when we arrive.
That's true.
No, we're usually pretty damn conscious when this starts. It's like getting into it later that we're kind of like, are we too Colorado life for this right now? I don't know.
It's always Colorado life here.
Right. So, hi, Darren. We are definitely starting off with the Colorado life with Red and Scrappy. I like starting with this because it lets us just kind of like flow into the show for the night, and as well as gives everybody time to like figure out that we went live, we're here, we're doing the show. People are still adjusting that I'm back every week. I might not always make it exact. What are you doing, Peanut Gallery?
But man, that's what I'm doing.
Right? He is just like a bull in a china shop. And
it's my china shop.
And he shouldn't be. He's an Aries. So, he's like, well, if you can't F it, ram it. So, apparently tonight it is, Colorado Life with Scrappy, Red, and Peanut Gallery.
What?
Who's eyeing down my stuff like I owe him rent or something. This guy though, I don't know. Listen, guys, I might have made a mistake like 20 years ago.
Too late now.
Right? Yeah. That's true, man. This is like dedicated fuck up now. I'm committed to this fuck up.
I'm gonna have to steal that.
This is a dedicated fuck up. Oh Lord. So I hope everybody's had a great week. This week in Colorado Life, we are still smoking what was this? Garlic something.
It was a good deal. That's what it was. And it was good, and it was a good deal, and it's still here, and that's even better.
It was like it's garlic breath mixed with something else. I can't even remember now. And then Scrappy has brought us, as usual, some
Pineapple Express.
Pineapple Express.
One of my personal favorites. That's why I've got more at home, of course. Different.
Do you have a squirrel lighter? You do. Squirrel.
Just all fresh and yummy.
It is not. I do not. Don't even
what?
Peanut Gallery. The peanuts in the gallery.
Everybody loves peanuts.
Everybody does not love peanuts. A lot of people are allergic to peanuts. And you kill people. Peanut Gallery. He kills people. It's a stab people.
No, I also have some good wedding cake at home.
Oh yeah, last week you brought wedding cake.
Yeah.
This week you brought The Pineapple Express
Yeah,
again.
if I remember, next week is to bring the Yankees.
It
That one
gets too
has
hot.
to-
My phone overheats.
Elk steaks?
Yeah, man.
You blanket your phone with elk steaks to do
Hey, it
your
keeps it
show.
cool.
My phone overheats. You gotta do what you gotta do, man. So, we're gonna start off with, well, obviously we're doing Colorado Life, but why we're doing Colorado Life, we can also be discussing some of these things. Okay, so.
The derailment.
Listen, I can't even with this. I don't even know where to go. Okay, because, all right, last week we said about the terraforming. I am still a part of this program. Okay, and actually over the proceedings of the last week, I'm even more on the terraforming idea than before, because now it's like, okay, so the answer is let's set it on fire. What?
Yeah.
Who the fuck gave that answer? I want you to point out those motherfucking scientists, and they need to be cut.
Yeah.
Cut from the budget. They need to have no salaries. They need to have their fucking whatevers fucking
And I read this was
revoked.
planned, correct?
What?
And I read this was planned, right?
Well, okay. Theoretically.
It was supposed to be like a prescribed thing or whatever.
Oh, the burn?
Yeah.
Yes, no, the burn they did plan.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. That was like
Okay,
how
I
they
was
were
making
gonna
sure I read
like
that
clean it up.
Yeah.
Like they didn't know that they was about to create mustard gas.
Mm.
Like they didn't. They knew.
They knew.
Okay, they've known how to make mustard gas since the 40s.
Now, question: how far would this spread?
Up to 500 miles.
Okay, so like folks in Indiana.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because my friend, you know,
if they're
from
within
Richmond
500 miles,
was worried about her not feeling good.
Okay,
and talking about this
if
stuff,
they are within 500 miles
I
of
think they are.
Palestine,
which is on the border between Pennsylvania
Ohio,
and Ohio, right?
yes, they could potentially
Because
get
she
sick.
was worried about it. She put two and two together. With
Yeah,
this.
yeah, and really and honestly, we don't know.
Right.
And in all reality, we haven't done enough experimentation to know.
That is true.
We also do not know what a long-term effect is over time. Okay. They also say, like, you know, okay, so it can kill you. We know that. Okay.
Right.
It works on the upper respiratory, and it will basically drown you.
Yeah, like fluid in
the lungs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, you know, we have this. And they created that by burning it, which brings it to a certain degree, which then makes it, you know, it changes the chemical compounds. Right. And now we've done this, and they're like, they don't have a clue, man. Like, what are we paying these scientists for exactly? Okay, I need to know. Because, like, they get paid really, really good money to apparently just guess a lot.
Yeah, they're not using.
And I'm like, you know what? If guessing is cool, I could be down. Like, I want to make a lot of money for guessing. My guesses are at least way more accurate, I feel. I mean, anybody who's listened to my moon news could pretty much know that at least my guessing is somewhat backed up with something. It seems like these guys are just like willy-nilly. Let's take a guess. Hey guys, evacuate. No, wait. We didn't mean that.
My bad.
Shelter in place. Dude, they're on the highway in traffic jams trying to get out. You're like shelter in place. Okay, first of all, I don't like the whole shelter in place thing when we're talking about like contaminants of air.
Mm-hmm.
How do you hide from air?
Yeah.
You can't do the air
Mhm.
inside. Okay, again, delusions.
Yeah.
Okay, illusions of safety. The air inside of your home is no different
And outside your
than the air outside of your home.
Yes.
Okay, it's still going to be contaminated. I mean, no matter what, it's going to come in whatever
So
holes,
the point
whatever
is keep it
cracks, whatever anything's like that. You know what I mean? You're still going to get that. So, like, even with Chernobyl, where they have the people that have been allowed to move in the low
Mm-hmm.
or in the way far
Low
areas of and they're told that they're not allowed to open their doors and windows or let the air flow through because they're afraid of contamination.
Yeah.
And again,
But it's
the same air.
Yeah.
There, I don't. But okay, people are happy with their little illusions of safety, and that's fine. It's not really, but we'll say it's fine. Okay. So, people need to start waking up, though. I know that. Because, okay, so where is I got notes. What you do?
Trying.
Wrong and, yeah, okay, cool.
I'm trying to make this all work.
Oh, what the hell?
Failed. Sorry.
Good job, Peanuts.
What are you doing?
I didn't. I was doing anything. Okay, so anyways, okay, the mustard gases are sulfuric. They have sulfuric mustards and they have nitrogen. They're a known alkylating material. Okay, now alkylating means that they're chemical reacting. Okay, that being stated, they are known for cytotoxic. Now, what that is it's the quality of toxic to cells. So, like, it would be the difference between a snake bite, a venomous snake bite, and how your cells can build up a tolerancy to that. Would be kind of like the difference. But again, that would have to be built up over time.
Yeah.
Like a sudden, okay, so they say like the main chemical that they were so afraid of, which is this vinyl chloride.
Is that the one that probably does with the fluid? Sounds like.
Okay, now it's known to cause liver cancer and liver disease. It's also what we make our PVC pipe from. Genius. I mean, come on. God. Okay. Now, back to our mustard gas thing. It's also known to have blister agents. So, all of these people in Ohio that are complaining of the itching
Mm-hmm.
and the blistering, these are all known side effects.
Wow.
Okay. Now the name mustard gas is technically incorrect. Um, so when it's dispersed, the gases are like a fine mist of droplets. It's more a mist than a gas.
Okay.
So it's like the blisters on exposed skin and lungs result in prolonged illness and death because when those blisters pop, they're toxic too.
It's like, yeah, and then it'll spread.
Right.
Wow.
So this is like one of the things that is being brought up right now with this with the vinyl chloride. It can cause literal healthy people to develop fibrosis and cirrhosis, inflammation, and scarring of the liver. Now they do say that you need a relatively high amount to make this happen.
So around for
So,
a
you
longer
know,
period of time.
like a derailment of a train full of it.
Yes.
Hello, as Ellie would say. And then they also they don't know very much about like the long-term effects of the low-level exposures. Especially for people that already have liver problems.
So it makes their shit even worse.
Right. So, they have known about the health risks and everything about this fluoride since 1970. Yes, since 1970s. And so I'm just saying, if you've known all this since 1970, and then you're still like, oh, hey, man, let's set it on fire to get rid of it. And then you want to be like, we have no idea. What do you mean? How could you not have an idea? We have been making mustard gas since World War II.
It's used in the concentration camps in Germany.
I mean, admittedly. Okay. Let's clarify that because we're not even going to get into the fact that we were making it before that, but we don't want to admit to that because then we have to admit that we knew exactly what was going to use it. No fatty. No. Now,
By wag my tail on
Mm-hmm. Anyone that has been subjected to these chemicals really needs to be tested over time. A one-time test is not enough. Like, you can't just do a test one time and be like, "Ooh, I'm clear."
Yeah.
Because a month, a week, a couple of days, 5 years, you might not be okay anymore.
Linger around that long.
It can linger around that long. And then suddenly you have cancer and you don't know why. Because it's been 5 years.
You kind of already forgotten about it, probably.
Mm-hmm. Now it's been 5 years and you've kind of forgotten about it, right? Right. So, you know, and then you still have, which, take note as well, we're all talking about the chemical spill. And is this like, a Fukushima level event?
No.
Or catastrophe, I guess. But more, nobody's talking about the UFOs anymore. Quote unquote UFOs, okay? Or shooting them down, or the Chinese spy balloon.
And now this.
Yeah, now this is the only thing anybody's talking about. We're also not talking about the other chemical spills that have taken place.
I thought I read there was one
in the
Michigan
other
also.
places. And we also haven't connected all of these dots either. I can't say that anything is 100% factual because it's not my experience. But what I can tell you that I have been told, is that this little place in Ohio was also part of the government, one of the government experiment towns for real ID purposing microchips. Now I can't confirm that. I've tried. But that still could be classified information. But this is what I was told, and thus this now leads into more of what's going on there. There's also another movie. There's an old version and there's another version that they just did last year. They're both available on Netflix. But it's called All Quiet on the Western Front. Now I haven't watched it yet. But it's I guess along these similar lines. So I'm gonna watch it. We'll talk about that movie next week. But for now,
What was it called again?
it was called All Quiet on the Western Front. That being said, for all of you that just ran to Netflix, take a little look at what all the new releases are like kind of surrounding. They're all like chemical warfare type things.
Yeah, I want.
Like the new Resident Evil series. chemicals. Well, this is what? A chemical spill that's led to the release of these experiments that were being done by government affiliated thing, the Umbrella Corporation, that created this Raccoon City.
Yeah, there's also, I think it's on Netflix, Helix. Have you heard of that one?
Yes. Then there's the
I started
Helix.
watching that one.
Then there's actually the separate Umbrella Corporation, which again is another chemical related thing. Helix is a chemical related thing. There was another one that I just watched too. That was a chemical related series. Now one that's not chemical related, it's AI related. Was Red Rose. It's like AI ghost kind of mind control related, so I do recommend it to get kind of an idea of the chicken feed that's out there right now. Because, you know, again, when people start saying that this happened or that happened or this is happening, you know, they get to turn around and say things like, but it's not happening. You know, that was in this movie. And then you're less believable, you see, because how can we, you know, okay, do you get it? We're all like Palestine, Ohio. Everybody's like, all right, we watch White Noise too, bitch. Okay. And you're like, no. For real. Like, yeah. Oh, let me guess. There was a train derailed. Actually, yeah, dude. Oh, right. Let me guess. It was Final Flora. Yes, actually, it fucking was. What? Yeah, okay. We've all seen the movie too. That's why they call it chicken feed. They put it out there in the public so that when we, who they have now labeled conspiracy theorists,
Right.
Okay, so that when we mention things like this, they can make us look like mental cases.
Right.
That they don't know the difference between reality and a movie, or reality and fiction, or, you know, if you went back through and actually went through all of the files, like the CIA declassified files,
Right.
and you did a lot of researching like that, like me and Scarlett did at one time. Which I gotta go back because they do releases every so often, and I need to go check her anymore. But in the bowl, you know, when you go and you read all these things that you know they're capable of doing, you're like, listen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not capable. It's that they have done, but they've hidden from you.
Right.
Okay, and it's like, I know, you know, they have so many people that came forward and told us the truth that they got us to believe we're crazy because they put it in movies. They did this, they did that. And then so when these people came forward and were like, hey, okay, let's take, for instance, some of these movies that are known chicken feed movies that they actually listed in declassified. Firestar.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is actually a big chicken feed movie. So when these people back in the 70s started coming forward and saying, I can move things with my mind, I can do this, I can do that, we were like, yeah, okay.
Okay, right.
You know, when they started coming forward and saying, we're government experiments, yeah, okay. You know, you're being chased down too, I'm so sure. You know, they were.
Yeah.
They probably really were. And we're even reading and talking about that in our secret. You know, how Look at what they did to Casey. Or I mean Candy.
Oh, okay.
You know, look at what they've done to Candy. You know, they're making Candy look crazy to all of us, but
Right.
she absolutely was not. Do you know what I mean? So it's like this catch-22 place that you're at with it. And then you have more of the spiritual side of kind of like what's going on, and I do want to kind of talk about that a little bit because it was very interesting to me, the way that I can spiritually tie together my theory of this terraforming and what's really going on with another one of my theories with the aliens, which anybody who's listened to me over the last 5 years would know that I don't necessarily believe. I mean, an alien really, by definition, is anything that we don't know or can't describe. Okay, you know, very much like a UFO. UFO actually stands for unidentified flying object. It could be anything. If we don't understand what it is, it's a UFO. You know, it could be a fucking leaf from a tree that we've never seen before that made elevation and is flowing back down to the earth. And guess what? On the scanner, we don't know what it is, so we say UFO. It's a UFO until something goes up there and visually says, dude, it's a leaf. Okay. You know, and if they go up there and they're like, I don't know what the fuck this is. Guess what? It's still a UFO. Until we can define what it is. What it is otherwise. Right. So when we start looking at this like from a more spiritual level, at least for me here. First of all, let's start with the fact that you can believe what others say. Okay, basically the message of tonight spiritually is you can believe what others say. You're never going to know, because to know, you have to experience what you know.
Sure.
Okay? Otherwise, without experience, you don't know, you're guessing. You're taking a guess. David, back there. Back there's your burger. And that being said, now, that means pretty much everything's a guess. Okay? Mm-hmm. And we also want to cover the fact that tomorrow, WHO, which is the World Health Organization, is going to be signed sovereign control. It's going to make us the head of WHO. Under a man, Bill Gates, who again I would like to bring to the attention of everyone out there that is so quick to be like, you're not a scientist, you're not this, you're not that, you don't know. How do you know? Why would you know? Neither is Bill Gates, but you follow him to the end of the damn world. He tells you to wear a mask. You're like, everybody put a mask on. And then anybody who's like, I don't want to wear a mask. You're not a fucking doctor. You still no. Neither is Bill Gates, dude. Bill Gates is not a freaking scientist. He's not a freaking doctor. He's nobody freaking special. He's a man with a whole lot of money that throws it around to a whole lot of people, and you take his word for everything. So keep that in mind when we say that you can believe what he tells you, but you're never going to know. And you're not going to know because you don't experience it. And what he's giving you knowledge of, he has absolutely no idea of because he's never experienced it. And the stuff that he's created, he still hasn't experienced. And he tells you that. He won't even let his kids on his own things that he creates. Hi, Kaz. Welcome, 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 welcome. So, that being said, going here, man may believe. We just covered that. What everyone says, right? Okay. He has no better of a chance than those that tell you you do not. He's simply guessing the same as we're guessing. So, spiritually, we are in the Agrarian Gospel, chapter 32, verse 19. Verse 16. Regard not then what any man has said. Let us forget the flesh and go with the mind into the land of fleshless things. The mind never forgets. And backward through the ages, masterminds can trace themselves, and thus they know. Time never was when man was not. Now let's discuss that. Time never was when man was not, which means man created time. So when we try to hold things to a timeline that are written to us in a spiritual level, we can't do that because God doesn't revolve on our timeline. No. We created that. Right. That's our baby. Okay? He created us, we created time. That's what happened. He did not create that. That is not of his creation. That is our creation. He has not damned that creation. Okay? But it is important for us to remember that we created it. It's our creation. I'm glad that you made it home there, Cass. Now, that which begins will have an end. And if man was not, the time will come when he will not exist. Now, from God's own record book, we read, God breathed forth, and 7 spirits stood before his face. The Hebrews call these 7 spirits Elohim. These are they who in their boundless power created everything that is or was. These spirits of the triune, God moved on the face of boundless space, and 7 ethers were, and every ether had its own form of life. Now, these forms of life were but the thoughts of God clothed in the substance of their ether, planes. Man called the ether planes, the planes of protoplast, of earth, plant, beast, man, angel, and cherubim. These planes, with all their teeming thoughts of God, are never seen by the eyes of man in flesh. They are composed of substance far too fine for fleshy eyes to see, and still they constitute the soul of things. Okay. Now, the soul of things. And with the eyes of the soul, all creatures see the ether planes and all forms of life then. And all forms of life on every plane are but the thoughts of God. And all creatures think, and every creature is possessed of will, and in its measure has the power then to choose. So, in their narrative planes, all creatures are supplied with nourishment from the ethers of their plane. And so it was with every living thing until the will became a sluggish will. And then the ethers of the protoplast and the earth, plant, beast, man, began to vibrate very slowly. The ethers all became more dense. All the creatures of these planes were clothed with coarser garbs of flesh which men can see, and thus the coarser manifest which men call physical appeared. And this is what we call the fall of man. Men fell not alone, for protoplast and earth and planet and beast were all included in the fall. The angels and the cherubim will not fall. Their wills are strong, and they held the ethers of their planes in harmony with God. So now, when the ethers reach the rate of atmosphere, and all the creatures of these planes must get their food from atmosphere. Okay, let's stop and think about that. All the creatures above us must get their food from the atmosphere. From the atmosphere. Now, let's keep that in our thoughts. So the conflict comes, that which the beneath man, which is us, has called survival of the best is about to become law. The stronger will eat the bodies of the weaker manifests. And here is where the carnal law of evolution has its rise. Okay, now, let's think about this. If you take my theory, which, like I said, anybody who's been listening to me over the last 5 years knows that I have the theory that aliens are just simply more ascended beings than ourselves. They have to get their food from the atmosphere. We can't do that. Okay. So, what atmospherically, right, we're not built that way. Right. So, what as atmospherically do they eat? We don't know.
Yeah, because I'm like,
We have no idea, right? Okay. So, a theory again, theory, because we have the alien theory, which we talked about last week. This could be aliens coming down and UFOs. A lot of people believe that. Actual aliens like we see on TV and all the chicken feed that they show us. Because again, if somebody sees something that looks like this and goes, "Oh my God, I saw this thing with a big head and big eyeballs and all that,"
Well,
we're like, "Oh yeah, we all see those movies."
I don't know if I watched a video when somebody was talking. Fuck, I'm high. I just.
Somebody was talking aliens.
Oh yes, sorry. But the balloons and stuff been dropping, and shooting down, making us think that it is aliens, just so we can be in fear enough to create this one world order.
Well, okay, and if you go with the 9/11 theories, okay, it could be yet another world created event,
right,
to try to bring us all together. That wouldn't be unheard of, especially since they do say that 9/11 was done like that. We haven't got classified files to confirm yet, nor deny. Said things, get out of here. And yet we have plenty of people now. If you ask me, logistically and scientifically, the way the buildings fell and what they say caused that fall of the buildings doesn't add up.
Right.
The way that those buildings were built and what was used to create those buildings. Okay, Pittsburgh Steel, people.
Yeah.
It's Pittsburgh Steel, and I don't like to give Pennsylvania props, okay? I really don't. I don't.
But they make good steel.
But listen, they have anthracite coal. Endless amounts of anthracite coal. That's the best coal in the world, people.
Oh, wow.
Okay, it burns at the highest levels. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Anthracite coal is so important and was so important back in the day that it was actually there is a very small town, rural town in Pennsylvania called St. Clair that is extremely rich in anthracite coal. It was on Hitler's takeout list.
Well,
because if we get rid of anthracite coal, they have a problem making their weapons the way that they make them, because they need the anthracite coal.
Almighty and powerful.
Right. They're making weapons too, but theirs aren't holding up to like what ours were, because ours were being done with the anthracite coal. So, that's a little known fact there. And then, you look at these things, and so it doesn't add up. So when you look at this stuff going on over here in Pittsburgh, it is adding up, but it's not adding up to what they're telling us.
Right.
Okay, what they're telling us doesn't match what we're seeing. All right. Another thing, like I said, I can't confirm, nor can I deny if they were and or are, but I have been told that they were a experiment town for the real ID, and not just the ID, but the microchipping. And then last year, they did the movie White Noise. And they did it there, and they used people in the town as actors in movies. And in the movie, they tell you a whole lot of stuff that's happening right now. It's happening. Everything in that movie is happening. Almost exact. The NW, I think it is NWA or NWO. Arrived in the town 2 to 3 days before the train derailment. The train derailment is now being blamed on bad bearings. Or a bad bearing. Okay. Now we've got people getting sick. Animals are dying.
Oh, even if, well, yeah, so.
Large
Animals.
amounts of animals are dying. And, you know, nobody's talking about the other chemical spills that have taken place. But if we stop and we listen to the spiritual side of this right now, where it literally is saying that they have to get their food from the atmosphere, if my theory of aliens being just more ascended beings, okay, and we've had, like, nobody's talking about it anymore, the Chinese spy balloon, and then all these other places that were air locked down and areas locked down for UFO sightings, and you know, we shot it down or we collected it or whatever, okay. If they are more ascended beings than us, they have to get their food from the atmosphere, which would then again back up my terraforming of the atmosphere with all these chemical spills. We are gut loading our air for these beings because they only have a limited time from landing. Okay, if what, see, this has always been one of my problems when they're like aliens have come to Earth, right? Okay, this has always been one of my issues is they never have any type of a breathing apparatus to be here. They just always show them as
the way they are,
the way that they supposedly are. Now, some of them say that the way that we see them is like the whole, it's like a suit that's on top
like a
of
protective
the actual
suit,
thing.
like our astronaut suits.
Right, okay, but more alive. Their suits are alive, ours are not. It's basically the difference, okay? But then again, I've also seen where their ships are supposedly alive to a big degree too. Okay, which does actually make sense. All right. Like, their ships and things have like a nervous system and stuff like this going on with them. But all that aside, if they are more ascended beings and they do have to get their food from the atmosphere, and they landed, they would only have a limited supply of air that they could breathe. Like
before they had to go
back. Yeah. Like, what are they breathing? Like, this was always one of my things when people are like, aliens are living on our planet. How, though? How? They don't have an unlimited amount of their air. How? The only way that this would be possible is if they could create chemically their air indefinitely. Now, here's the thing, though. If these beings are coming down here, and they intend to stay for a long period, they also do not intend to wear suits, or whatever, all the time. Who's agreeing to move into that? Okay, if they're coming down here, they're way more smarter than me. I would not agree to a life of you have to live inside of this skin suit your whole life, or you're gonna die, and then we have to chemically make your air, and you have to be dependent on us for that. How about a hard no? Okay. Skirt. Break it out, right? Okay. Not going for that. We're just not. That's not happening. And then it goes on to tell us, right? The stronger will eat the bodies of the weaker manifest. And this is where the carnal law of evolution will rise. Now, again, if we're terraforming the environment, and they did tell us that so we know through research and declassified files, the last dump when Trump became president, he released all of the main files like that.
Yeah.
We know that we have a treaty with what we considered aliens.
Okay.
Okay. We don't really know. We're so intelligent, guys, that we sign contracts with shit that we don't really know. We're just like, so if I sign this with you, you won't hurt me. And they're like, right. And we're like, we believe you.
Yep.
Here you go. And then we're like, so we're going to hold to our word in our contract.
Yeah.
But they're trying to kill us now. And they're like, but you agreed to that right here in the treaty that we could come back down here and farm you all. You agreed to that. You signed it. You said sure. And like there's a whole bunch of stuff. But like there's some theory and some of it's like released in the declassifieds. Mm-hmm. The fact that there is a treaty is in the declassified files. So we do have a treaty with quote unquote aliens that basically does say at some point they're coming down and taking over. And we're just like, yeah, that's cool. As long as it's not right now, though.
Like right now?
We're okay right now, though. Right? And they were like, oh yeah, right now you're cool. And they were like, okay, all right. And then they were like, well, we'll figure out something between now and when they come back. But then we're not going to tell anybody
when they come
that this happened.
Oh.
That we have a treaty, or that we need to be looking for a way out of it.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell anybody. We're going to keep it a secret. And we're just gonna, our best scientists are gonna work on it. Okay, stop your best scientists. Are these the same scientists that said, burn it all and create mustard gas? Yes. Are we talking about these best scientists? Because, holy Lord, I'm gonna need to just, whoa, what? No. But if the whole farming thing is true, and they are more ascended, and they've come down here, and we're terraforming the environment for them, they really don't care what's happening to us, because they really are just going to eat us.
Yeah.
For the most part. And they say specifically, it says specifically, on a spiritual level, that they are going to eat the bodies of the weaker manifests.
Yeah.
They can't kill us, but they can take the body.
Oh,
they can kill the body, you see.
Right.
So they're going to take our bodies. That's going to happen.
Right.
That's by design and plan of God.
Right.
Okay. On that level of the fall of man.
Mm-hmm.
And then now man is in his utter shamelessness, strikes down and eats beasts. The beast consumes the plant thrives on the earth absorbs the protoplast.
Mm-hmm.
The kingdom of the soul, which is carnal evolution, not known, and is the great work of masterminds to restore the heritage of man, bring him back to his estate that he lost, when he again will live upon the ethers of his native land. See, we aren't where we belong.
Right.
We ruined them. We're not where we're supposed to be.
Right.
We're in a temporary place till we've learned our lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So them coming down, eating our bodies and taking us, is really not. I mean, we look at it in a very negative way. No matter how we slice it, it's going to be negative.
Right.
But
We
it
eat it.
really is possibly the next evolutionary ascension. Not that we want it to be, but the thoughts of God change not. The manifests of life on every plane unfold into perfection of their kind. And as the thoughts of God can never die, there is no death to any being of the seven ethers, of the seven spirits of God. So, an earth is never plant. A beast or bird or creeping thing is never man, and man is not and cannot be and never will be a beast, a bird, or a creeping thing. The time will come when all these seven manifests will be absorbed. The man, the beast, the plant and earth, and protoplast will be redeemed. The wisdom of the Jewish sage, revelation, is where this comes from. So, specifically, Vidyapati, which is the wisest of the Indian sages and chief of the temple. He said, "We stand today upon a crest of time. 6 times ago, there was a master soul born, and he gave glory, light to man. Now a master sage stands here in the temple, and he was talking about Jesus. Okay. And he says, the Hebrew prophet is the rising star of wisdom. He brings to us a knowledge of the secret things of God. And all of the world will hear these words. They will heed these words. They will glorify his name. And the priests, you will all stay, and you will be still, and you will listen when he speaks. He is the living oracle of God. All priests will give thanks and praise the Buddha of enlightenment." Again, this goes with Jesus, God, will always present himself in the fashion in which that he needs to be accepted where he is at. This particular Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ basically is talking about how Jesus went around and he was part of all these different religions. And if you really start putting things together on a spiritual level, like I have over the last quite a lot of years, but specifically the last 5 in motion the most. Every religion of the world has seeds of Jesus the Christ. Every religion. And you can go through and start picking them out. Okay, like in here, they were calling him Buddha. Why? Because he came to us, he was wise, he knew what he was talking about, he made sense, and it fit with what we believe. He changed our belief without changing our belief. Do you see what no, you're right, but you're not right, but you're right, but now you're really right. Okay, because that's how it works. That's supposed to be how it works. Now, everybody is always like, there is no way that he did all this in 30 years. Okay, listen, back then the earth was not like it is now. Right. All of this was together. We have
quote unquote scientific proof if you believe that sort of thing.
Okay. Because
Hmm.
getting more and more doubtful by the
Right.
day. Because now we're about to do this whole WHO thing and the World Health Organization
Yeah.
and sovereign control and, during a pandemic and we're in a chemical pandemic.
Oh, yeah, I consider that a pandemic as well. Or
It's all in a word,
Yeah.
and even if we haven't 100% classified it as that,
Uh-huh.
is it coincidental
Mm.
that in the middle of all of this, we're going to sign over all of this shit to who?
Yeah. Sounds fishy.
Okay. You said it right there. Something is awry. Because, again, my thoughts, and just my thoughts, but something's awry. Something is awry because you can't. So you don't want to get in trouble and you don't want to get blamed. So you're going to put these people in control of everything. So that when everything falls down, you could be like, oh, you're
the boss.
Yeah, I just, I hired these people.
They
Okay.
said they knew what they were doing.
Right, I hired these people that told me what to do, and then I believed their words instead of actually learning anything.
Doing their
And
homework.
I put these people in charge so that I could have plausible deniability. Again, let's say it louder for the ones in the back. Plausible deniability. Why are we doing this? Plausible deniability, so that the President of the United States can go, but I didn't know. I hired people for this. I signed a contract with people for this. I did this for this, whatever. Okay, plausible deniability. And it has nothing to do with who is president. Anybody that would be doing this is plausible deniability. It wouldn't matter if it was Trump. It wouldn't matter if it was Biden. It wouldn't matter if it was Obama. It wouldn't matter if it was Lincoln. It wouldn't matter. It's still a plausible deniability move. That's not a specific to a person. That's specific to a position, which is the President of the United States. Now, it's also the job of his team to give him plausible deniability. So, kudos to your team, bro. They're doing their job, but they're not even trying to do it the way that they should be. Because it's not supposed to be so look over here. We're creating plausible deniability in front of your eyeballs.
Yeah.
Do you see it? We need you to know that we know that you know that we're making this for your sake. It's not supposed to roll like that. That's how it's rolled. But it's not supposed to. Okay, guys. That's, how I feel right now on a spiritual level that has been tying in to our current events and what's going on. And we won't kill you anymore with that stuff. So I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay too. But here it's our cup of tea, and I like to tie everything together. You don't have to believe me, research me. Again, I like the Aquarian Gospels because it covers those 30 years of Christ when he's not around, and it still fits with everything I believe in all of the different religions of the world, and the parts that I personally had already started picking out as truths that stood out to me are all included in one nice little gig. Enoch is another one, you know. I mean, when I realized so much had been removed from what we knew, is when I went, something is awry. You know, but I have that 3 places or more thing. If I can find the same story in 3 different religions, that may not be word for word, but very similar, okay? Like Jesus. Jesus is in every religion of the world under a different name. Same, very closely related story to Jesus Christ. Okay? Mostly because he was. It was the same man.
Yes.
Okay? That's what he was doing for those 30 years, was going around to all of those religions and planting his seed, because that's what he did.
Omnipotent, right?
Yes, okay. That was his jam.
Yeah.
Okay. He went around, so everybody has their Jesus story. So, you know, this man existed at some point on some level. Okay. This is how legends are made. They're based on somebody that was there, you know. So when you can go through and you can find it within 3 different places. And I use that with pretty much everything. Whether it's spiritual, you know, physical, whatever.
Right.
You know, when I'm researching something, I want to find it. I want to find it in 3 different locations with very similar definitions or very similar explanations. Or you see what I mean? I'm not just going to take one
side of the story.
one side. You know, I want at least 3 to match, and they need to be close enough match. You know, I'm usually really, really big on that. Now, let's do some moon news. However, what is this? Oh, right, okay. I am not doing any more February. We're done.
March is almost here.
We're done with February. We are going to only read March's tonight, or go repeat March. I did not finish up April's yet, so we'll get that next week. It's not like there's a big hurry. April's not even here yet, so you know, I'm a month ahead already. I just want to stay a month ahead.
Yeah.
And I technically, if I did April tonight anyway, it'd be more than a month ahead. So pump the brakes, and we'll do that next week. But so that's February still. March, the moon, the worm moon, the crumb moon, the sugar moon, the chase moon, the Lenten moon, the crust moon, the sap moon says, time to accumulate and collect unfulfilled promises that should be rolling in from February. And the new moon cycle. This cycle is riding out that emotional romance and renewal of relationship vibes. We are again being led through techniques to find balance with everyday functions, routines, physical and spiritual, health, infinite disorder, and the call for order are going to be on the line. We need to remember our spiritual selves more in this moon cycle. There's going to be some sort of a crisis situation. This can range from things like a Jiminy Cricket consciousness crisis to sudden realizations of what we lack in life. However, this is going to lead you on a path of intense opposition, allowing you to explore your emotional needs in context of your household. Still reminding you not to lose sight of and continue forward with the balance between work, service, practical, and impractical. This will lead to the illumination between criticism and acceptance in your own experiences. However, remembering this is still a very emotionally driven moon cycle, so all of these feelings that are mentioned before and are emotional revelations bursting forth into your subconscious and conscious, you are going to find that over the next 2 weeks of this full moon worm cycle, people are about to learn. And what that means to realize that these things from your system need to be released. We have to express the feelings, so don't repress them. It must be done in balance. And you must do it with great caution. Careful to remember, we are not particularly prone to rational thoughts or feelings just yet. So pump the brakes a little bit.
Still Twitter-pated, right?
Right? You're still a little Twitter-pated. So we need to be on a high alert. And we need to be listening for the intuitive thoughts that lead us to the eye-opening awarenesses in work, habits, health, and routines. The worm moon is the final full moon of winter. Right before spring equinox, the vernal equinox is March 20th. This is the start of the spring equinox and will carry you through the last part of the moon cycle, leading you into April's pink moon vibes on April 6th. Overall, the March moon cycle is still carrying these heavy, emotional, needy vibes. In a good and hopefully lucrative and fertile way, with the Crow moon leading you into an astronomical spring and the end of the astronomical winter. The new moon in March on the 21st, starting toward the April energy of the pink moon. The worm moon will not be setting Easter's date this year. The pink moon of April is going to do that this year. So this is no compromise feeling. Is going to lead to the action taking, and it won't be fooling around. And that need for safety is going to be directly linked to order and clarity. And it's still with a very high sustaining emotional feeling. So that need to get those imperfections cleared up should maybe be more self-tolerant, a little decluttering of the chaotic and disorganized things are going to help you. Not a good time to do surgery, so stay away from that in March. Do not go there. Remembering that we're not in control. Our expectations may be too much, and we need to trust in the universal consciousness and allowing it to do what it does without questioning it. This is called faith. We need to be faithful this moon cycle to ourselves and to others, as well as our spiritual and physical. That balance, again, very important. You're going to see the need for the spring renewal and the cleanup. Lovelies, things get so disorganized and cluttered in winter, we don't realize it. So those to-do lists are going to start rolling in with the need for order approaching. And keeping in mind that you want to work smart this year, not hard. So, it also is going to bring that reboot feeling. It's going to be very, very strong starting the full moon cycle. And you should take heed to it. Keep on living, lovelies, and roll with it. That's going to be what's coming forward for us in March. April's news is going to be amazing. I know it. Now, our Fukushima, we have not forgotten. I have kind of haven't necessarily placed it on hold because Fukushima, we have not forgotten. Okay. And the fact that you are doing your like 3 decade release of contaminated nuclear water that you say isn't contaminated into the ocean, which is really just to cover the fact that you've already been leaking contaminated water into the ocean and you got caught and then you hid it better and now you're like, ooh, we're going to say that this is our plan so that if anybody notices again that it's leaking,
This is why.
and our nuclear DNA starts coming up places, we can be like, plausible deniability. We didn't know that our contaminated water was going to contaminate the contaminated water. Okay? And for those that wanted to know if that was a tongue twister, yes. But no. Hi, John. Good to see you. Because the reason they say yes but no is because, okay, so the water that they're releasing was contaminated by the nuclear meltdown of the cores at Fukushima. Okay. So this is nuclear waste in water that they have supposedly decontaminated in some fashion to an acceptable level, they say. Which, questionable.
Yeah.
Okay. And they've stored it, supposedly, all this time. Because you got to remember, Fukushima happened in 2001.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
So here we are. 12 years later. And we've been leaking this whole time, regardless of what they say.
A lot of leakage.
Okay. But, so, the contaminated radiated water, we decontaminated it, we've stored it. Now, we've been leaking radiation into the ocean for quite some time. It's been happening. We've been hiding it, but it's been happening. Okay. Theoretically, don't want to get blamed for saying that they're facts. Okay, it's not facts. It's theoretically. Okay, theoretically. Okay, not theoretically that we did catch them, and then now from the point in which that we caught them to now, it's theoretically.
Right.
Okay, do you dig? Do you see what I mean? So now it's theoretically. They've been leaking the whole time. So now we have what they're saying is uncontaminated water, which will be the ocean. Okay.
Right.
And then decontaminated water that now over the next 3 decades we're going to release into the ocean, which is supposedly not contaminated, with the contaminated stuff leaking all into it for potentially 12 years. Which is why I say we're going to put the contaminated, uncontaminated water into the uncontaminated, contaminated water. Okay, so another form of terraforming. What have we been doing? Why have we?
It sounds like
let this go? Why have we? Okay, because not that long after the Fukushima event and the admitting that radiated material got released into the ocean, because we did have a spurt of time where they did admit that this went down. Okay, and they did admit to the releasing of contaminated radiated material into the ocean.
Right.
Okay. That being said, we were reportedly finding their particular DNA washing up on shores in fish with the fishermen, and other things. We were told or hoping that like the algae and things were going to help deradiate stuff, because that's what it does. It really is. That's, you know.
Cleans it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But
Like
you know,
the fish tanks, even.
right? You can only do so much.
Yeah.
You know. So, you know, now we also have what's going on here, doing all of this. But you know, I'm just something that I'm throwing out there. You know. Now, last week we had Kathumi, who had come through and given us our guidance of the week. You know, or Kuhumi.
You still want this.
And you know, we get him for motivation and focusing on priorities and your divine life purposings, and you know, it's staying focused and making sure that you are open to your intentions, your desires, your priorities, and not allowing distraction and not taking short-term situations or taking on dramas or anybody's demands on you, positive outlooks and dreams, and imagining that these are real and in reality, and speaking of them as such to help bring them into reality and manifestation, staying away from those distractions, seeing results in your will, making sure that you are assertive on the time asked of you, keeping your promises to yourself and committing to your priorities, and spending the time of day devoted to your projects and detoxifying your diet. So I hope that you took heed to all of his stuff, which also kind of went hand in hand with everything going on for Moon News in February. And then even what we're going into for March, that you know, new moon cycle was the beginning of that March kind of feeling from the moon to start getting us prepared. And so now this week's guidance, we're gonna jump into here and see which Ascended Master is going to come forward and what the message will be in our guidance for the week. I'm shuffling and thinking on that guidance. Oh, get that. It's White Terra. And it's a very beautiful depiction, actually, of her. And she doesn't come up a whole lot. So when she does, it's pretty interesting. For those that don't know, she is an Eastern goddess, and she always appears in different colors. So you can have white, you can have red, you can have the green. This specifically is white Tara. She's very loving. She's very helpful. She helps with life expectancy and enlightenment. Everything pure within every human and all of life. We call on her to reveal the pure inner self and to help purify anything within our own lives. Obviously, her message is purification, and there is going to be some situations that are going to need purifying this week, and that could be a signal to purify motives and intentions on your end. You need to be in service and purely about that, and stop the fear and the competitions. This is also probably going to include purification of your body as well as your diet. It can also simply mean that your life and your actions need to be in line with your integrity and your true beliefs. Know that you are supported and assisted with your purifications, and ensure that you will be harmonious in your process this week of purifications. And it's going to bring about great blessings for you as well as others in your life. So you need to put the whole focus onto how you can serve instead of what are you getting. Things are going to roll smoother this week with that mentality. You need to affirm all of your loving thoughts about yourself especially and others. And you need to avoid chemicals and toxins this week. Avoid any behaviors that will lead to a feeling of guilt, shame, or lowering your self-esteem. And you need to leave any situations that are not in integrity with your true beliefs this week. Those are her guiding words for the week. And again, I think she's very fitting with her message for the week. Purification, you know. We just read March Moon News as well, and you know, we're going to start feeling that need for purification anyway. So she's telling you to prep your body for the upcoming purification of the moon.
Right.
Is basically where her guidance is coming in, and how they're going to mesh together, and how she slipped in that is stay away from the toxins and stay away from chemicals. So these spills going on, she has now told us, you know, stay away from it. It's not good. This is not good. Don't listen to them when they're saying you can stay in your home. Don't listen to them when they're saying it's not going to affect you. Don't listen to them when they give you a test and say that you're okay. She's telling you you're not okay. This is not okay. These chemical spills are not okay. But she's very loving, she's very caring, and she does that in a very loving and caring manner. So we got that weekly guidance in. Woo, woo. We got our spiritual message in. We got our Fukushima in. We got our events of the current events in. We got our full moon in. We've tied everything together, even from the spiritual message to the weekly message to the full moon to the to the chemical spills, and how they all tie together. Okay, so again, if we can find it in 3 places or more, I've just proven the whole thing over everything that we just said, because it all ties together. It can all come together and weave together into one big story. You know, and that's where we're at right now in the show. So I feel like we're doing really good because we're an hour and 35 minutes in. And we've covered all of that already. I'm feeling superb about this. So, okay. Do you like cucumbers? Because I'm not a big fan. Okay. Do you like pickles? No?
Try get the ranch, but no. That's the only way I like them. Try to make
I was curious. So, I gotta get them. Okay, so since I've made it this far, I have a little homestead sheet that is. Okay, y'all. All right. So, as y'all know, I'm a pickle. I like pickles. I like them a lot. Okay. I don't like them on like.
Did you ever try any of what's her fuck? Steve's old lady. She made some pickles over the summer.
Okay, I'm not. I only like kosher pickles and these Polish pickles that I found. So I go through a lot of pickles.
They make candy jars to keep.
I go through a lot. So I decided I was going to start making my own pickles.
That's right. Most of these ones you could prescribe.
See, and like I said, Cass, I just tied it all together, like Fukushima, the Great Reset, the chemical spills, the UFO, all of that. Spiritually, I tied it all together. I did. Truth. So yeah, I would definitely like to hear what your source has to say about the Great Reset and the Fukushima situation. Absolutely. Now, going back to what I was saying here, my friends. My friends. I decided I wanted to make pickles. So I went and I got, well, I didn't mean to, okay? Like, I wanted to get stuff in, like, steps, right? So, like, get your pickling spice, get your, like, salt, get your jars, got all your stuff together, okay? And then I read how much work this was. There's gotta be a better way. They said, work smarter, not harder this year, right? Right. So me and my little research investigation said, back in the day, they didn't have all that shit. Still making some pickle. They was making pickled eggs, pickled beets. They was pickling everything. Right? They was pickling everything. Sausages, pig feet. They was pickling everything. Everything, all the things. Okay. And you're not gonna tell me like they went to the store and bought pickling spice and you know.
That's a man-made thing.
So let's go to the olden days. Let's see what they did, right? That was my thing.
That's smart.
Okay. So that led me first to just kind of back in time a little bit. And that brought me to refrigerator pickles. Now, refrigerator pickles are like pickles that we do in the refrigerator, and you don't like warm bath them. You don't do any of that. It's not a canning process. They just are refrigerated. Okay. Then I was like, okay, well, I could do those because I have a refrigerator. I have a solar fridge. I've done that. I've accomplished that on the home set. That's a big thing. And it's a pretty large fridge. I mean, you know, for living off grid and supporting everything totally with solar, I have a big ass fridge. Okay, like this isn't just some like little like RV fridge. This is like an in your home actual fridge. Okay.
Robot type of.
Yeah, I have a super nice fridge. I'm actually really solar setup for my fridge.
It's even got the cool drawers, I noticed.
And
It's like, wow.
it's awesome.
I have the most ghetto fridge ever.
Well, you know, hey,
But
don't
I'm
knock it,
thankful to
man.
have one. Yes.
At least you got it,
I
right?
don't want to knock it, 'cause I am thankful for it.
Right.
But
At
it's
least
ghetto.
you got it, baby. So I do have that, and so then that led me to refrigerator. Well, then that led me to fermented pickles. Well, what? Fermented pickles. So they just
Oh,
ferment.
it did sit for a while, but they.
Yeah. Okay, they just ferment. So then I'm like, okay, that seems like a really good plan, right? Okay. So let's see. And they're still like, okay, you know, use pickling, you know, spice and do this and whatever, because I really only like the kosher, which is a season thing. Okay. So I get it. All right. I meant to do this. Well, somewhere I'm in the store and I'm grocery shopping and probably having a Colorado Life moment. And went, oh my gosh, look, these pickles are on sale. Or these cucumbers. I'm sorry, cucumbers are on sale. And I want to make pickles. So I got like 9 cucumbers for $2. Okay. And I was like, woo, this is going down. All right. And
you're sweet but not sweet enough to get my cookie.
Then I got home and I realized I didn't have jars. I didn't have salt. Although the canning salt doesn't have to be used because you just need to use a salt that doesn't have iodine or any other type of thing in it. So sea salt is perfect. You know, it doesn't really have to be a canning salt. You just got to make like a salt brine or a salt solution. Okay. And then, so you're going to basically just kind of make a salt brine. And then you can put your cucumbers in there with some dill and garlic and, you know, whatever. And then you seal them up and you let them ferment. Or, you know, they say that you need like a ferment weight and all this stuff to keep them under the juice and blah, 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 blah. Whatever. And vinegar is also important kind of in it. You don't have to add vinegar in the ferment. That's a taste thing. Really more for me. But then as I'm looking around and I realize that I don't have time because I realized that these cucumbers were on sale for a reason.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like they need to be used. Type reason, I realized that I have. I'm a pickle addict. I had like 5 jars of empty pickles.
Yeah, they make great jars to keep, I would think.
Okay, in my refrigerator full of pickle juice.
Oh.
And then I went, light bulb. Ding. Why can I not take my cucumbers, cut them up, and put them back in
In
a
the
pickle
juice.
juice.
Yes.
Seal them up and set them in there for 10 days, like a refrigerator / fermented pickle.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's work.
It's already the juice.
Mm-hmm.
It was already
It's
doing
already
this.
done its thing.
Right. It's what it's meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In places like Germany and stuff, they keep their pickle juice forever. They just re-add a little vinegar or a little salt or a little water, whatever. But they keep it forever and use the same brine.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? So why can't I do that at home? So it's been after 3 days, I tried it, and I thought, I think this is working. Now it has been. It's been about 6 to 7 days, and I just pulled 6 to 7 day jar out, which is speared cucumber.
They look like pickles. Yeah. Consistency it should be.
Okay, people. Okay, people. And then still, it's still a little cucumbery.
Let's sit a little longer.
But
doesn't need salt.
I
or
did
whatever.
say 10 days. It needs a
No, wait,
minimum of
from
10,
7.
and it's only been 6 to 7.
Right. Still a little early.
But I will say that right now, with that taste test, it's definitely working. And it's crunchy. They're very crunchy.
Oh, the fridge plate helps with that.
Oh. Oh, Lord. Lord. Oh, Lord. And all I gotta do, Lord, is just add a little bit more, like, vinegar, salt, as it starts to, like, get low in the brine. You just add a little bit more vinegar and a little bit more salt or more pickle juice from kosher or Vlasic. So if you like Vlasic pickles, if your thing is Vlasic, which my thing is Vlasic pickles, well, how are you really going to get Vlasic seasoning? They don't sell it. It's not like, it's their recipe. Just reuse their juice, man. You've got their pickle.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. Homestead hack for pickles. I'm telling you, this works. So I have this, which is my kosher dill spears in Vlasic juice, turning out great at day 6. Okay. And it's still got 4 days about before they say that it should be ready on a normal basis. But the longer you let it sit, the more flavor obviously sets in. And you could just keep adding cucumbers to it because they are also changing. Like, they're not the same, like, crispy cucumbery look that they're not white like they were when I put them in. Like, they're greening like a pickle.
Yeah, because they're almost see-through when they're
to add anything to them now. Okay, so I have those. Then I have these are the actual ones. So then they have different levels of stuff going on. So because I have like three kind of like experiments happening. So that's the Elastic Kosher Dill Spears. They're turning out. They're at day 7. Now I have the Polish, which were a delight. I'm not gonna lie, but I can't find them now.
Of course. Find something you like.
Right? I can't. I found one jar one time, and then I didn't throw away the juice because I liked them
Yeah.
so much. So now I have put the cucumber in. It's been in here for a little bit. It is not at the 7-day mark. These Polish spears are at about day 3, which is when I tasted the. See, I timed this out to be doing it during the show in hopes that I had ripped through stuff and was able to share this homestead hack with everybody and test it out with everybody on air. So now I'm gonna give it the taste test at 3 days into the Polish taste here of my fresh cucumber. Oh yeah. This seems to be flavoring faster than the plain kosher, actually. Oh, wow. And I don't like cucumber. For those that are not aware, I'm not a big cucumber fan. Love pickles. Not big on the cucumber thing. But wow. That was really good. Like by day 6, those pickles will probably be ready. Whereas I'm at day 6 with the kosher, and they definitely need a few more days, but they're definitely taking on the flavor, but not as quickly as the Polish still. Now, then I had this jar of juice from the Molasses Kosher Dill Purely Pickles. Now, my problem with Purely Pickles was that Purely Pickles tasted good, tasted like a kosher, but not nearly as strong. Okay. So I decided that this was my experimental one, and I added vinegar, garlic, and dill to this brine. Now, I also have this one cut. By the way, the Polish dill I also did in spears. Now this one I did in the sandwich slices and ovals. I would love to find an oval right now. Oh, I did. Look at that. Okay. And they too are at day 3. And I don't know if it's going to add the flavor like I'm hoping it did or ruin it. I'm not mad at it. Still cucumbery. Definitely a stronger taste. The garlic is definitely coming through. still my cucumber definitely needs more soak time, but it's only a day 3.
Oh, that one is.
Yeah,
That's good.
and like
It's
I said,
already got
it was a
that.
lot lighter flavored, and so I added dill and garlic to it, and so that's where I'm at with my homestead hack experiments right now in the pickle world. I'm feeling quite good about this actually. And keeping the brine around, and then I have the actual, you know, until I have pickles ready. I need to have pickles because I can't. So I do have, and
Thanks, buddy. Oh, myself this one.
real pickles, and those are just whole babies, which I could probably get.
Alright.
Those are some of my more favorite pickles, and I mean, I don't know, the juice will be good to use up when I eat all the baby pickles.
Mm-hmm.
My next thing that I'm gonna work on, guys, because I'm addicted, and it's not just me. I've gotten so many other people addicted to this now. I am addicted to garlic stuffed olives. And when I say I'm addicted, I do mean I am addicted. Like, I have to have one every day. Like, it's a thing. Every day it's like a little snacky poo of some sort for me. Because I absolutely have to have it. When I went down to Minnesota, I was all like, I have to have it, I have to have it. And then, when she visits up here, Scarlett, we are talking about her. When she visits up here and she sees that I'm eating them, she's addicted to them now too. She has to have them all the time. So my next thing, I'm learning to do this. I want to know how to stuff my own green olive with garlic clove.
How to stuff it?
Mm-hmm.
Could probably get the ones, put the holes in them. That's what they come in, or cut a small hole in each of them.
Because it says it's just green
Because the
olives.
clove's about yay big.
Mm-hmm. So again, I feel like these are just fermented because it says green olives, water, garlic, sea salt, citric acid, and
So
lactic.
garlic probably in the juice then. Fermenting into, it's actually stuffed with
the garlic cloves are in there.
Oh, okay.
They're stuffed in the.
Wow.
So you get a whole garlic clove
And an olive.
And an olive when you eat one.
Wow.
Which the health benefits of both
cool.
are tremendous. Okay? Just of the olive and the garlic. But then when you add the fermentation, that obviously is happening. That adds another level of healthy goodness for you. So next week, hopefully, we will be talking about doing this. I'm doing the stuffed green olives and trying to make them myself. My first thing is I got to figure out where to get these big ass green olives.
Yeah. The food store and such. Oh, they have weird odds and ends there.
I don't know.
It's a possibility.
And can I use canned olives? Or do they have to be fresh olives? And where do you get
Where would
fresh
you
olives?
get fresh olives?
I've never seen fresh olives. This does say that it is a product of Greece. So yeah, that'll be all things that I'm looking up and researching. And then experimenting, which is exciting. So there's your little homestead hack. And I'm giving these out now because, again, the state of everything going on. You know, so with the chemical spills, everything happening, I've also gotten word from a lot of friends in Canada, and you know, there's a lot of things going into place right now, like bars at the front of their grocery stores that are not being used yet. But why? Right now the theory is that, well, there's two main theories about it, or it could actually end up being the same, or being both. Because one theory says that it is for soon to be vaccine checks. Another theory is that they are preparing for food shortage. But it could be both. It could be it could be that they're doing both. So they're going to stop you with this big metal bar, and you're not going to be able to go through until they get what they want for you to enter. Which there's another theory about the 10 or 15-minute cities. Now, what this is which we're starting to see it trickling down the line, which is really, really scary. And I do want to get this out there. Small rural places like where we are, commissioners and such are starting to make laws.
Yeah, like I see
to take land and stuff from people and make them homeless.
Yeah.
Because we're going to take your property, we're going to take your land, we're going to make a bunch of rules that you can't abide by, and we're doing it on purpose. Meanwhile, we're going against what the state is saying that we're doing, because the state's like, we want to go green. Meanwhile, out here, we're being told that all of our green stuff is illegal, and we're not allowed to do it because
it's not in the bylaw.
Right, or whatever, you know. So we're being driven out, which drives people, because I've seen it now happen with 3 or 4 people out here. Okay, when they are driven off their land here, they end up in the bigger cities, and then the bigger cities they go to because they're the only places that have homeless shelters or places to go. So they go to the big cities for this, but then the big cities limit you in the time that you're allowed to be at the homeless shelters because they don't want to run out of beds. You know, they want to share their stuff. So you're limited to how long you can be at the homeless shelters, and usually it's like 1 or 2 days a week. And then people are dying on the streets in tents in the big cities.
To go out of those 1 or 2 days.
And now people are getting sued, and things are happening because of this. And that being stated, they're driving people to the cities. Now, the cities at some point are going to quote unquote lockdown, and they're going to become what is called a 15-minute city. And what this means is you're not
Get
allowed
in
to
and
leave,
get out. Oh,
but they're going to give you a schedule
oh wow.
that will say something like, yes, you and you alone can leave the house on Thursdays
From 8
from
to 3 p.m.
no, it won't be like that. It'll be like your scheduled time will be 8 o'clock. You have 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And you will live within a vicinity that you could do grocery store,
Everything
everything,
needed.
and home
Wow.
within 15 minutes. Which would explain why they're putting things in on top of things on top of things in cities. Because you look at things and you're like, why do they have 5 McDonald's within like
Yeah, within like 3 blocks.
3 blocks of each other?
Yeah.
Because this is the 15-minute place.
I
This is the
see.
15-minute place.
Makes
This
sense.
is the 15-minute place. Do you see what I mean? There is,
To keep
it's within
you
that
in your house
15-minute
forever.
radius to keep people in their homes.
Uh-huh.
And they are trying to pass these 15-minute
So,
cities.
what about like recreation and stuff?
No,
Oh,
you'll do all that
keep
in your
me in my
house.
hills.
You're not allowed to go outside without permission.
Yes, I know.
So it's all part of the larger, well, and again, if you believe everything, it can all tie together and it can all actually be true.
Yeah.
You know, the way that all these theories could potentially come together and weave together,
Sure.
that every one of these theories could be true
Mm-hmm.
in its own form and value and the way that it plays out in the big
Right.
picture. Because these 15-minute cities would go right along with being mined.
Yeah. Wow.
We need you, but we don't need you the way that you need you. We just
Right.
need you like an animal in a cage.
Uh-huh. That's essentially what it is.
Mm-hmm. So,
It's not a city, it's a zoo.
you know, I just watched an experiment in motion too with the there, not mind control, but the brain rewiring in a very temporary type of a situation, right? Yeah, Betty.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, Betty. Suck it up, Betty.
Oh, you being nice to me.
Yeah, it can all flow together that way. Scarlett is not here because she had a lot of weather stuff going down. And she didn't know if she was gonna make it or not. Yes, Ellie. Hello. Ooh. I love you, Ellie. Who's a good bird? Did you put Ellie to bed? Huh? Oh. Ooh. Hi, baby. What you doing up? I know. Ow, ow. That was hard. That was too hard, too rough. I know. You didn't need to. It's okay. It's okay. You didn't draw blood. You just nipped. And it wasn't birds. Okay, so it wasn't a like, I want to hurt you, Mom bite. It was a, I'm so excited that you came over and saw me in the middle of what you're doing. Yeah. Did you want to see, right? Oh. Are you upset about this on the ground? Is this better for you? Why are you so obsessive? Well, yeah, usually when you give me a little nipper, something's up. Yeah, you're upset about something. So, oh, I get it. I get it. I got you, girl. I got you. All right. It's Sea Sunday, y'all. Ooh. So, they say that seeds aren't really that good for your hair. I'm not sure if I believe that or don't believe it. I'm kind of on the fence because it's like, well, what are they eating allowed? You know, like I realize that it's not on the same level. Um, but I'm also still a big like, well, what are they eating alive? You know, like for real though. And you're like, oh, don't give them seed. It's bad for them. They'll get fat, this and that. So I don't know. I don't know. And there's so much that goes with that, but against that, and with it, and against it. And again, I'm stuck on the, well, what would they be doing in the wild? And I feel like she would get seed to a very large degree in the wild. And I know. And then like they're like, give them fruits and veggies. And it's like, okay, fruits and veggies. Um, my girl doesn't really like a lot of fruits and veggies. Um, so we do baby food. Like stage twos, sometimes stage threes. Where you know it's like a thicker, tastier thing. When my juicer was working, but my juicer isn't working. And well, it is, but it isn't. Okay, so here's the deal. I was gifted the juicer approximately 2.5 years before I ever even moved to Colorado. And my mom gave it to me, and it was like one of my biggest prized possessions. I used it like every day when I lived in the city. Well, rural city. Um, and that's nothing like now. Okay. And I used it all the time. And then I moved out here and I couldn't use it because I didn't have electric. And it went into storage. And then I was using it when I got the generator. I was bringing it out and using it as often as I could, making like a thing of juice and, you know, putting it away. But then it was very difficult because without like hot running water, it makes it hard to clean a
Like
juicer.
chips up or something.
You know,
Yeah.
it does. It makes it really super hard to clean a juicer. Because like, yes, you can boil your water, you can do everything, you can wash your dish, but with the juicer, it's a little different because there's parts that you can't submerge in water, and if it can't submerge it, it's very hard to clean. But I mean, I was figuring it out. I was doing what needed to be done. But then when I got the running hot water, woohoo, and I went to start using my juicer, my engine, I guess,
Like
the motor's going out. And it's like a Jack LaLanne, and it's like super old, and it's a super expensive juicer, and like it's like wow, wow, and it's not what it used to be, and so it just, yeah. And thus I need a new juicer, and I won't settle for less than what I've already had. And unfortunately, that's still a very expensive juicer. But hubby wants to upgrade me to a Champion juicer, possibly, but it's kind of an expensive thing, and you know, whatnot. So until I get the juicing, giving her the juice, and giving her the pulp, because she loves the pulp. She just doesn't like the raw stuff. Like broccoli, I can give her broccoli. She doesn't really like it. But if it's cooked
and stuff.
not salt, but just cooked. If it's steamed, if it's boiled, baked, she don't care. She'll eat it then, but don't give it to her raw.
Right.
Cauliflower, same thing. Potatoes,
just don't like it. Well,
won't eat them raw.
right. Well,
Like, give them to her raw,
like that'd be crazy.
she'll pick them up and throw them. Like, get this shit out of here.
Like, I want this waitress.
Right. So, yeah. Now, we've tied all that together. We're going to open the book for the night. Secret Don't Tell, the Encyclopedia of Hypnotism, written by Carla Emery. And remember that she did this in hiding. She has since passed away. Theoretically, she was killed for the knowledge that she gave us in this book. We do have permission to share the book in whole and discuss it, but we cannot alter and or change. Okay. We were in the case history of Candy Jones, and I do believe we're at the I do believe we left off on Arlene Spills the Beans. So it's a few hypnotic sessions later on June 1973, Candy spontaneously regressed, not to childhood, but to a scene in which Arlene was talking to Jensen. She was talking to John as if he were Jensen. John accepted the roles she had given. He played along, pretending to be Dr. Jensen. After Candy awoke from trance and the natural sleep that followed it, John asked her about Jensen again. Soon he realized that his wife could only remember visiting Jensen the first time. She could not remember anything that had happened inside his office after the conversation in which he had complained about her smoking, and then agreed that she could not be hypnotized. John reasoned that Candy's memory stopped so abruptly because Jensen had hypnotized her and suggested amnesia. But his wife had not stopped smoking, so why did Jensen hypnotize her? Because she went to him to stop smoking, right? So now the husband knows, right? The next morning after the show was done and they had gone to bed and John had relaxed, Candy, she did another spontaneous revivification, which is the most authentic type of hypnotic regression. It's an old memory tape that plays and the subject relives a past scene in their life. So she's pushing hard now to accomplish the long, sad process of revealing the history of her conditioning and life as a hypnotic subject. Again, Arlene talked to John as if he were Jensen. Arlene was forbidden to talk to anybody about her creation and activities except to Jensen. John knew that he should play along with the Jensen role with Arlene, which Arlene had assigned him because to a regressed hypnotic subject, all time subsequent to the event is blotted from the mind. It is therefore necessary for the operator to fit himself into the regression, transform himself into someone known to the subject at the earlier period. And this is written in Experimental Hypnosis, page 156. John was beginning to understand later that day that he went out and bought a tape recorder from the point on. He taped every conversation he had with his wife when she was in a trance. During June and July of 1973, in both induced and spontaneous daily trances, John gradually learned the truth about Candy's job with the CIA. He became accustomed to abrupt personality shifts in which Arlene's voice would suddenly be replaced by Candy's or vice versa, and sometimes it was a hypnotized, unconscious Candy who talked to John during the regressions, and sometimes it was Arlene. The revivifications showed that Jensen also had encountered both of Candy's personalities under hypnosis. John soon became familiar with the differences between their voices, and Arlene was more deep, harsh, and masculine sounding. Candy never swore. Arlene always swore. Candy was always unaware of the missing time when Arlene was out, and Arlene always knew all the content of both lives. The mysterious Dr. Jensen and the CIA shadowed the life of these celebrity news. Candy consciously knew and admitted to John that she sometimes tried to call Dr. Jensen, probably in response to post-hypnotic suggestions to check in at certain times on certain dates. John also knew she did that. He had observed, to his great distress, how Candy, in an instant, would transform to Arlene, who would insist that she had to call the Murray Hill number, and there was no stopping her. Unfortunately, that number never answered them. A plainclothes detective had begun to stand across the street from their apartment. He stood there every day, month after month, just watching. And on July 3rd of 1973, John heard a disturbing message on the answering machine. Japan Airlines calling on the 3rd of July at 4:10 p.m. Please have Miss Grant call 759-9100. She is holding new reservation on Japan Airlines Flight 5 for the 6th of July, Kennedy, Tokyo, with an open on to Top P. This is per Cynthia that we are calling. Thank you. And this was on Bain, page 243. The fact that John heard that call presumably caused another failure for the CIA, another win for Candy and Arlene. For John made sure that his wife did not get on that flight. If she had, she might never have come back, or she might have come back freshly reprogrammed, but under complete hypno control. John tried to track down who made the reservation for Miss Grant, and no luck. Japan Airlines said that the reservation was real, but they did not know who had booked it. They had no clerk named Cynthia. Then somebody explained to John that Cynthia was probably a commercial code name for bookings from a certain organization, perhaps the CIA. His informant said that airlines often book space and bill clients using such codes, and Cynthia certainly did sound like a booking code that the CIA might have used. Now this one is John, Candy, and Arlene. Okay. As Arlene revealed bit by bit the truth about Candy's life, Nebel was at first uncomprehending. When he did begin to catch on, the information deeply disturbed him and he wanted to talk to Candy about it. Armed with the tapes, John confronted his wife with the information which Arlene was revealing, even after hearing tapes of herself talking to John under hypnosis. However, Candy still firmly denied being hypnotized. She insisted that his tapes were only of her sleep talking while dreaming. By denying that she had been hypnotized, Candy unconsciously was protecting John's access to her unconscious memories. She was a sealed person. She could not allow herself to be hypnotized, and John did not understand her very real need to deny that he was hypnotizing her. Thor, go. Go on. Go on. Thank you. He tried again and again to get through her denial. He played tapes for her, talked to her about the hypnosis sessions, described all that she had said and done while in the trance, and she still insisted that it was all only sleep talking during dreams, or maybe, she said, it was an auto-suggestion. She could not admit she had done the H word. Candy also admittedly denied that Jensen had hypnotized her. When the regressions revealed that she had also been hypnotized by Dr. Berger, she denied that too. Arlene's process of revealing truth had now shifted into high gear. In numerous spontaneous revivifications, Arlene emerged and took over that shared body, except she had enough respect for working women's situation to never come out during Candy's live hours on the show. At first, Arlene had avoided all conversation with John, and then she only talked to him in the role of Jensen, while in a state of revivification. Sometimes now, however, she talked to him as John. She was getting freer from Jensen's rules, so Candy was getting freer too. The split's cue to emerge was usually Candy's encounter with a mirror. Whenever Candy looked at her space's reflection in a restaurant, a restroom, or the bathroom of her apartment, Arlene was likely to emerge. John developed a wake-up cue They instantly sent the split back undercover when she was no longer welcome or had appeared at an inappropriate moment. If John pressed her hand against a piece of tile, Candy would immediately be awake and back in possession of her body. The first blow to Candy and Arlene's winning trend came from John. So far, he had been wonderful. He had met her unconscious need to be hypnotized and reveal information. Because her husband was almost always with her, he was able to help whenever the spontaneous trance regressions happened. He had carefully taped numerous hypnotic sessions and all of the evidence they contained. He had spent hundreds of hours carefully questioning her to make details of the story clear. John was determined that there would eventually be a book about Candy's hypno abuse so that the public would also know these facts. Long John Neville was struggling too. At first, he mistakenly believed that Arlene's chronic state of anger was directed at him, even after he intellectually understood that it was not. John still reacted emotionally as if it were. He blamed Dr. Jensen and the CIA having created Arlene, but he also felt an implacable, angry hostility toward Arlene. John blamed all their marital problems on Arlene's butting into what he viewed as his and Candy's private life. He believed that Candy would be fine again if he could make intruder Arlene quit coming out. John also feared that Candy might harm herself during a trance. Because Arlene walked around his apartment during vacations as if it had the layout of Jensen's office, he feared that she would slip into such a deep trance that he would be unable to control her, and he feared Arlene's capacity to publicly embarrass him. John was either ignorant of or not a subscriber to hypnotherapy principles. He could not imagine a positive role for cynical, bitter, uncooperative, independent Arlene in Candy's mind. He never understood that Arlene was the part of Candy strong enough to suffer Jensen's endless horrific abuses, to contain all the forms of pain that he inflicted and survive it. He never thought of Candy and Arlene as merely separated components of one woman's personality. Candy was John's ideal woman, unfailingly soft, appreciative, respectful, gentle, sweet, and yielding. To him, she was the real personality. To his credit, he stayed deeply in love with her through all of this, but he never understands that Arlene was genuinely Candy too, a split made from stolen, isolated parts of Candy's own feelings, opinions, and strengths. John also did not like the way that Arlene badmouthed Candy, for Arlene routinely insulted her root self with words such as dumb, slow, stupid. Also calling Candy a goody two-shoes, the mother of her country, referring to Candy's tragically abused patriotism. It made John angry when Arlene snickered at all the gentleness and pliability of Candy. And it disturbed him when Arlene revealed her possession of Candy's capacity for anger and ideas of retribution. I have a lot of scores to settle up. And if Candy can't settle her scores for herself, I'll settle them for her. Candy has been screwed so many times, and I'm going to help her unscrew her life because she is just too goddamn dumb. I'm sick of watching it. This was included in Bane, page 160. And that would have been Arlene talking about Candy. Bit by bit, Arlene was unscrewing Candy's life. She was providing a detailed expose of the CIA experimentation on Candy, and she was gradually reuniting Candy with her amnesic knowledge, loosening up the grip of Jensen programming on her mind and life. By now, Candy had finally accepted that Arlene was revealing, and she had began to eagerly participate in the uncovering in the process of remembering. She was pressing on, trying to recover it all. The basic story of Candy and Arlene and the CIA was clear by the end of June and July of 1973. But there were still a myriad of details to be cleared up, and Candy still needed dental work. And John wanted psychiatric testing on her to corroborate Arlene's revelations and then shut her up forever. So now we're seeing that they're taking her more seriously because they're seeing what's happening. They want to help her, but they don't really know how to. And, you know, he's guessing and playing at stuff he's very unaware of. But he's doing it all the same. She's,
Wow.
she's a mess up.
You're a good girl. I gotta stop and got to do it.
Oh yeah, she's been acting weirdly. Not even gonna lie about that. And I'm not sure what's going on, but she's been acting a little much.
Oh. I got to be after a lot.
Yeah, like she's just been very actively about what's going on, you know, kind of like observant, very in everybody's business, very like
It's not about
overly cuddly. Like she's usually
she kind of puppies.
she's usually not like a cuddle
Yeah. It's what sweet to me.
pup or like a lovely pup.
Right.
You know, she's usually like, I do me.
Mm-hmm. I'll come to you maybe.
Yeah, and if I feel like being a dog and seeing
That's right.
I'll come. Until then, I'm a wolf. I'm wild again. Kind of her jam. Not lately. Lately, she's been like, I want to hold your hand.
Oops.
So much so, even that I'm always like, what's going on with you?
Mm-hmm. Like, are you okay?
Right. Like, what's happening with you? You know, like, for reals.
Well, when everything's good, she's just being a lovely girl. So, well, she's trading cookies. What did she do? Five?
Yeah.
Five?
Yeah.
Just,
Roundabouts there.
just like, baby,
Bullshit.
I just say that to
Dude,
get the cash out.
She runs away. Anything baby, she runs away from, except
She did Frito.
she loved Frito.
Hmm.
Frito was okay. But that came, you know, he came a lot
Right.
later. And she still has her
Hmm.
with Frito. It's not cool.
Yeah.
She she just, I don't know. I don't know. Especially human babies, but she runs in the opposite direction.
Cash kind of different.
But she's scared to death.
Well,
I mean,
but the humans that move around that are almost their size are like, whoa.
right, right. So, yeah.
It's interesting. Cash is iffy around laying, but he was like smacked in the face with the arrow. She just
So, you have this woman whose, husband's trying to help her get out of the whole, this is happening, At first he didn't believe her at all. Now he's like, it's freaking real. It's really happening. And now he's trying to help her. And she's like, bitch, you don't know what you're talking about. Hey, move. Come on. Yeah, bozos, get out of here. Bunch of freaks. Okay. And now we're gonna do, he's been trying to help. He's been getting all the information, and she needs her teeth done, and things need to happen with doctors, and they've been having issues with this. Dentists and doctors. John urged Candy to see a dentist for a long time before she finally visited one, and it was her first dental appointment since Jensen's hypnosis on her began, 12 years prior. By now, her teeth were a disaster. She had become the famous beauty who did not dare smile. The dentist called her mouth a mess. One tooth was broken at the gum line. I had never seen anything quite so bad in all my years of practice. Unable to overcome Jensen's prohibition of anesthetic, Candy had all the needed work done without using a painkiller, and it was very slow and very painful process. John also urged Candy to see a psychiatrist. For a long time, Candy was positive that talking to a psychiatrist would make her horribly sick, even to the point of convulsions. Convulsions can be caused by hypnotic suggestions. Merely discussing it gave her excruciating stomach cramps, and Bain found another way. He often had hypnotists on the show. Her program Prohibition did not seem to prohibit a casual and accidental encounter with a medical hypnotist. She let first one, then another hypnotize her at the station during station breaks. From interviewing both, gave Candy suggestion, which accomplished further freeing and desensitizing. Then Candy agreed to go to Dr. Hubert Spiegel's office for formal testing of her susceptibility, and she had been acquainted with Spiegel, a psychiatrist who taught medical hypnosis at Columbia's medical school for years. Nebel also knew Dr. Spiegel, who often talked on John's show about being a forensic hypnotist for the FBI, or about Sybil, a woman with 16 personalities, for whom he was the relief psychiatrist when her main one had to be out of town. 16 personalities.
I mean, that's more than if you see in the United States of Terra, I forget how many personalities she has, but
No.
sounds like more than this chick has.
Right. Okay. So to test Candy's hypnotizability, Spiegel used a susceptibility test, the hypnotic induction profile. A susceptibility test is a standardized hypnotic induction followed by suggestions of various types. The tester reads an induction script to the subject, and then the speed with which the subject enters trance and the extent to which she obeys its series of requests. Close your eyes, raise your arm, etc. results to the score. Candy's HIP rating was extremely hypnotizable and top 10%. Spiegel said the test provided that she was hypnotizable enough to be hypno-programmed, and she was a somnambulist, a person who has the capacity for complete amnesia and for authentic regressions. Spiegel's other tests of Candy looked for any psychophysical basis for her difficulties. He gave her the thematic apparition test, or TAT, tell brief stories about each in standard set of pictures, and the Rorschach test, describe images in ink blots. Spiegel said that Candy's TAT and Rorschach showed episodic periods of stress, but not at the psychotic or schizophrenic levels. And that's a forward into vein. Okay, so her brain scan also was normal. And all in all, the psychiatrist found no evidence of insanity, and Candy was relieved to be assured that there was now good evidence that she was not insane. She had been threatened by Jensen in trance, that if she ever told a clinical person about the hypnosis, she would be immediately declared insane. And Spiegel concluded his report with a statement that he was confident that the CIA history which Arlene had reported was true. John battles Arlene. Candy had accomplished a lot toward accepting Arlene and the unconscious memories and separated strengths which she embodied. She had come far in the process of overcoming her amnesia and phobias. She expressed gratitude for Arlene's efforts and did her best to help the process of memory recovery. John, on the other hand, became ever more unhappy with his wife's dual life. Long hypnotic sessions following long nights of work at the radio station exhausted him. They exhausted Candy too. The frequent trances ate into her sleep time and caused great physical stress. She began to look chronically exhausted and unhealthy. John had two medical allies in his efforts to repress Arlene. Dr. Spiegel advised Candy to turn off her spontaneous appearances. Dr. Nick Nebel's internist, who learned hypnosis from Spiegel, also urged Candy in 3 hypnotic sessions to control Arlene's appearances, but neither Spiegel nor Dick could affect her. Candy defended her alter ego when John ranted about his dislike of her, and she intuitively understood that the damage done by 12 years of criminal hypnosis would require more than 2 months to heal. And Candy and Arlene had no choice but to struggle on with John Nebel as hypnotist, despite his desire that it be over. Arlene repeatedly tried to show romantic interest in John, but he always scornfully rejected her, and he believed that kissing, showing love, or having sex with Arlene could be moral unfaithfulness to Candy, his wife, even though they're the same person. Then John took it upon himself to make Arlene go away forever. He began making terrible threats to her, and Candy tried to meditate. She told him that Arlene bragged about strength and that her split really was afraid. John did not get the message. More and more, he talked to Arlene as if she were an evil spirit. In 7 taped trance sessions, a horrified Bane counted them. John threatened to kill or injure Arlene, and his threats were cruel, and they were detailed, and I could break your arm, he once said. Arlene had broken free of Jensen because he intended to kill Candy, and now John was threatening to hurt or even kill Arlene. John, threatening voice. Suppose you were burned to death. And Arlene, I wouldn't like that. John, I don't care what you like. Arlene, she wouldn't want to burn. What happens to me happens to Candy. John, angry and frustrated. Your knowledge in this area, Arlene, is extremely limited. I can exercise you. One way I can do it is with flame. Arlene, do you really want to burn me? When John threatened to shut her up in a box, a hysterical Arlene begged him not to do it. That was their new routine. Strong, Arlene ends up in fearful tears. John would not stop his cruel threats until Arlene cried, and Arlene had escaped one cruel tormentor, only to find herself in the hands of another. After months of suggesting terrible threats of violence that he might do to Arlene, John began to worry she might hurt him. It was a suggestion by expectation to the hypnotic persona. Sure enough, one night John woke to find Arlene trying to choke him, and he threw a rock. Afterwards, Arlene said that she had only wanted to frighten him. She said that she would not really hurt him or herself or Candy or anybody else. Indeed, she never acted violently again. But that did not improve things between her and John. Nebel added a new tactic to his anti-Arlene campaign. He made Candy feel guilty whenever Arlene appeared, and he told Candy that Arlene was endangering their marriage. Bane is going to write Candy's story. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Okay. I put up that we were going till 10 tonight because I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
I was thinking you were just finishing up this part tonight of Candy, right? Oops.
Right, I was trying to. And we're actually almost there.
Yeah.
So I am going to go ahead and just run it because we were late coming anyway.
Yeah.
If you're not in a hurry to do anything. I mean, you're kind of like, I get out of the house.
Yeah. Okay. I might contribute a thought every now and then. I'm learning. I'm a new.
I don't know what I was thinking when I did the hours, but I did actually post it for 6 to 10 for some reason.
My Jason can't say that. He knows I'm just out, having fun, getting away. He had his dinner and dishes are done and stuff. He can
Right.
No gripes.
Yeah, and like I said, we are almost to the end of Candy's thing, and I want to at least get there.
Yeah.
So Bane writes Candy's story. Although Candy was a significant author in the field of fashion and beauty, he had 10 books in print and an 11th in process at this time. But Arlene's story was different. Candy agreed that this story, though also of her own, would be told by another author. August 1974, Donald Bane accepted an invitation from John and Candy to visit their small East Side apartment. He came and heard their story, accepted the assignment, and began work on a book about Candy's CIA history. Don Bane had neither medical nor scientific credentials. He had no educational or personal background for understanding CIA experiments in narco-hypnosis, hypnoprogramming, artificial personality splitting, amnesia, and torture. His one previous book was a biography of John Nebel, unfortunately titled Long John Nebel, Radio Talk King, Master Salesman, and Magnificent Charlatan. That was Macmillan, 1974. But Candy and John knew Donald Bane. What he lacked in credentials, he made up for in availability. When they asked, he agreed to write her story. It was not an easy task. Bain had to piece together Candy's CIA history from painstakingly transcribed tapes of John's hundreds of hours spent talking to Candy or Arlene under hypnosis. He interviewed Candy and John for hours. He did supplementary research on hypnosis, reading books, and talking to hypnotists. John was now refusing to talk to Arlene, period. Bain, because he was working on the book about Arlene's CIA experience, was pushing Candy to provide more details about those experiences. But only Arlene knew the answers to the questions. Candy developed a way of accessing Arlene's memories without John. After coming home from the studio, Candy would go to her private apartment, adjoining the one she shared with Nebel. There she called out Arlene by looking in the mirror, and then as Arlene, she would write for hours what she remembered on The Secret Life. Writing had been Candy's skill. Now Arlene was doing it. Candy had taken control of the schedule and content of Arlene's emergencies. The two selves were slowly reuniting. John Nebel, however, was still not satisfied. He pressured Candy to repress Arlene completely. Finally, Candy agreed, and she told Don Bain her decision. To recall trips, Arlene, in those days, places, and experiences for you on paper, I first have to use the mirror. Look into it and ultimately inform Jensen's cute gimmick. There, she is Arlene. The trouble, however, is that by the time I'm to go back to our living apartment and to bed, which may be noon or later, I am so exhausted I can't bring myself back. Today must be the last time I use the mirror in here for fear of the above happening again. Hard for anyone except John to understand, and I know it has destroyed much of his regard of me. So no more morning typings about the past to you or for anything related to Arlene. I am eager for the book's success for so many reasons and for everyone's sake. Best regards, CG. This was included in Bain, page 249. And Bain was frustrated, and he had many more questions that now would never be answered. On the other hand, John was very pleased. Publishing and publicity. Bain's book about Candy was published in 1976, and Candy wrote a postscript. I marvel at the author's patience for the factual reporting of the vast details involved. His sensitivity and resistance to dwell on much of the sensationalism contained, and the Herculean task it required to tell my story. For all of this, I am grateful. Had it not been for John Nebel, I wouldn't have been alive. Jensen nearly won out. I won't have to take that swim now. Arabic and now gagged, Arlene would have tortured that the victory declaration was premature. Playboy Press published The Control of Candy Jones. In early 1976, Harper and Row put out Candy Jones' complete book of beauty and fashion that same year. Bain's book is not clinically case study like those of the psychiatrist Reader and Mayer. He was only a journalist trying to report an unfamiliar and difficult topic, but he managed to pass on the basic facts of Candy's history in a readable form. The Mind Control of Candy Jones holds several unofficial records. The only book-length report of an American victim of unethical hypnosis. The only book-length case report of a hypno-program person since Ryder's report on Pele. The only book-length study of hypno-programming case that involves narco-hypnosis and artificial personality splitting, and the only reported case up to now in which a hypno-programming victim saved herself and managed to get her story told. Publicity tour. Candy, via Arlene, had been trying to tell what the CIA, via Dr. Jensen, had done to Candy and could be done to anybody. The final terrifying hurdle of telling was the coming publicity tour. Bain was going along with Candy. John could not leave his radio show. The planned nationwide tour, organized by their publisher, was scheduled to begin in California with KSAN radio special about mind control. Candy and Bain were in the studio speaking live. Walter Bowart, a journalist who was then researching a book about military hypnoprogramming, participated by phone. And Bain said that he and Candy have material that links Saharan to Dr. Jensen on 2 specific occasions prior to the assassination, which was in Shefflin and Upton, page 444. Saharan had shot and killed Robert F. Kennedy. Both Dr. Spiegel and prison psychiatrists who examined Saharan in his California prison cell insisted that the Middle Easterner was hypnoprogrammed and had fired the shot in response to an operator's suggestion, not of his own violation. Now Bain had publicly declared that he had evidence linking Saharan to Dr. Jensen, and Jensen was a CIA psychiatrist who Arlene had identified as having specialized in making and operating unknowing hypnotic subject for the agency. Bain also would have probably talked about Arlene's description of California laboratories in which Jensen scientifically tested his control over Candy, and he would have told about his chance meeting with Dean Kraft and a Brooklyn psychic healer on Nebel's show. Kraft had described to Bain the California laboratory in which government researchers had tested his healing powers. The place where he was told not to ask what government agency was paying him and not to ask about the backgrounds of the staff who tested him. Kraft's description of that place matched Arlene's in every detail. Every detail.
Wow.
Now, there's a little stop sign shape in gray that says, on this page, that says unquenchable truth. Arlene managed to tell John Tate Bain wrote. Playboy printed, although the book was pulled from bookstores soon after. Some copies from that first printing of The Mind Control of Candy Jones were already circulating. A remainder dealer, junk buyer of the book world, bought the last of the publisher's first run. He listed the book in his mail order catalog, the place where dead books go. More people saw it there and ordered copies. I was one of them. And I being Carla Emery.
The author.
Right, the author of this book. Which this book, again, is Secret Don't Tell, the Encyclopedia of Hypnotism, which, again, was written with her hiding. And she has now passed away. Now, John, Candy, and Bain are silenced. Candy Jones, Donald Bain, and John Nebel lived on, but their feverish efforts to uncover and make known CIA hypnoprogramming secrets stopped, literally overnight. Candy did only one more interview after the KSAN interview. After that, none of the three ever gave another interview on this subject. They appear to have been quickly and permanently silenced. The planned nationwide tour stopped before it had really started, after only 2 radio interviews. In the late 1980s, while casually scanning radio station 1 restless night, I tuned in a California station. The DJ was talking about his interview with Candy Jones on her last tour, her next interview after KSAN, her very last one. She did it the day after KSAN, and he was the man who had interviewed her. Candy Jones was alone for that interview. She did not say where Bain was. She told the interviewer that his would be the last interview she did for the time being. She explained that she had just signed a contract. It paid $100,000 for the movie rights to the story. A lot of money in that era. The contract stipulated that no more publicity was to be done until the movie came out. The DJ made clear to her in person, to his impression, that Candy believed it was honest money. She believed that there would be a movie. She expected there to be major publicity when it was released. She told him that she and Bain would be writing the movie script together, so Bain was getting paid too. Candy Jones and Donald Bain did work on the script for a while. As the ruse, in my opinion, odds favor the $100,000 being CIA money in the movie proposal, a CIA deceit, dragged on. Some researchers who asked for interviews were told that no more interviews were being given while Candy Jones and Donald Bain were working on a movie about her experiences. Shefflin and Option, page 444. When Shefflin and Option themselves tried to schedule an interview with Candy and Bain, they ignored the two scholarly investigators. Walter Boert was also trying to arrange an interview. Candy and Bain had been warmly cordial to Boert during their shared interview on KSAN. Now they ignored his letters and refused to take his phone calls. No movie was ever made. There was never any later publicity. A bona fide movie producer would have wanted maximum publicity at every stage. Without publicity, a book does not sell well. In the blink of an eye, after Candy signed the contract, Bain's book about her was out of print. Copies are available, however, through Amazon.com and other used book sources. It takes about a month to get it in. Perhaps Candy realized all that afterwards, but she had signed the contract, sold the rights to her life story. The signature took her in one moment from a full-tilt promotional campaign to never again talking about her hypno-programming and CIA experiments. Did Jensen, the CIA doctor, make a surprise visit to her California hotel after the KSAN show and compel Candy to sign that contract? But Bain accepted the deal too, and John Nebel also never again talked to anybody about Candy's CIA history. So threats of a more conventional sort may have been involved. Despite all attempts to suppress the truth, Candy's story still went out. Now the next page is just a picture of silhouettes, and it said he would seat Candy in a darkened room in front of a candle in front of a big mirror, and then say, "Look into the mirror and see Arlene." Now, that is the end of the Candy Jones case file. So, woo, yes, Ellie. So, next week, we get to literally start the meat and potatoes, the really getting at this. And it's part 2, the partial history of U.S. government mind control research. In here, we are going to discuss U.S. research on hypnosis and mind control beginnings, secret agencies, secret research, and secret operations, mind control research.
Hey, bad boy. No.
Mind control research goals and methods, physical methods of psychiatry, the history of deliberate personality splitting, Operation Often, which will be a case history, information, interviews, and incidents. Psychiatry is no longer a joke. There's a picture on here that says "Can't come up, fish don't come up." U.S. research on hypnosis and mind control will begin with the personalities. Military mind control research will begin.
It's okay if you want to.
In the beginning here, it does say they fought in the trenches of concealment and deception across the lines of falsehood and betrayal. It is in the same in any war. What is heroic in combat is criminal in peace. Just as combat sanctions physical violence, so espionage grants license to moral violence. It is trite but true to say that they did what they did for the good of their country. Unfortunately, it also true that it frequently didn't work out that way. David C. Martin, Wilderness of Mirrors. Now, we are going to stop there because that will start us in part 6 in The Secret, which is actually part 2 in The Secret itself, part 6 on our show. Okay. And that gave you a little insight as to what we're about to delve into. And again, the timing of this book coming out and everything going on right now. Oh, Through the Looking Glass. Interesting.
I said like Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, yes, and they quoted in here, I can't believe that, said Alice.
Wow.
Can't you? The Queen said in a pitying tone. Try again. Draw a long breath and close your eyes.
Huh.
That's actually an Operation Often, a case history. Isn't it though? Isn't it though? So, yeah, we're about to get into that, and that's going to be quite interesting. And next week, I will hopefully have April's full moon news and new moon, because it's all the same moon news. I used to call it full moon news, and I think it's just going to be moon news because it's based on both the full and the new. You know, it's just the moon news period.
It's full, we just can't see it at that time.
Right. Technically, it's always full.
Yeah. Because you can see the other side out here.
Right. Of course, always the Colorado life. With me and Scrappy here. And spiritual hour. Or spiritual segment. It's not always an hour. And then weekly nights again, as usual. And then I'm going to try to do another homestead hack. We're going to hopefully be able to talk about olives and what's going on with that. Or at least something.
Update on the pickling.
Update the pickling, right? Because we're going to be another 7 days into pickling, which is definitely going to take me past the 10 days.
Right.
So that's going to be nice, and they should be real pickles by then, or at least pretty freaking close. Which, you know, could be a big savior because in 1 jar of pickles too, by the way, guys, just so I remember. When you do this, if you do this, only about 1 whole large cucumber fits in a jar of pickles. So when you're paying $4 for a jar of pickles, you're getting 1 large cucumber that you can buy for 69 freaking cents and make it home yourself.
Yeah.
And
way more.
10 days for less. Just saying. So, you know, homestead hack. You know, also kidding season is upon us.
I know, I've already been looking for the baby cows.
And I have some really fat girls, so please note that at any time if screaming is happening or things are happening, we could end up out there.
We certainly could.
You know, this is live. Always remember that we are live. And I live on a homestead, and I have livestock, and I have stuff that goes on here, and you know, are striving to be self-sufficient and so forth. And hopefully this year I get to do my planning. You know, I haven't been that big with green thumb lately, and I don't know why. I think I'm out of balance with some things.
Well, that could be a part of all the work you've been doing with the farms.
Yeah,
You know, kind of gives you mental, like, I don't want to mess with any other plants right now.
yeah.
Because I've been given so many seeds to start at home that I've just stored them away and
Yeah,
haven't
man.
done
Yeah, me too. And I
North
can't
Carolina,
even
though, I had a little
I
fun.
can't even grow my own plants because I'm so burnt out on
Okay.
growing them
Yeah.
and doing this stuff. You know, and even if I'm not growing them, I'm freaking harvesting them, taking them down, trimming them. That's all still stuff I gotta do if I'm freaking doing it at home. And I'm just so burnt out from doing it at work that I don't want to do it at home. And now I do understand, like Peanut Gallery, because it's like, you know, he does stonemason.
Yeah.
And people would think that I have this incredible stone everywhere in my house and everything's great. No, man. He don't want to do that shit when he gets home. He's like, fuck that. I've been doing that shit all day. You know, I don't want to do that shit at home, you know, or contractors that start shit, don't finish it in their own house because they're like, I do that shit all fucking day.
Sorry, not sorry, if you ever listen.
Well, you know what? That's it. Okay, we're not everybody's cup of tea. Sorry, not sorry. We said what we said. Period. That's kind of like the woo 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 across, like, you know, warning. These are the warnings.
Yes.
I personally am more like a shot of whiskey, a little harder to take, but
I almost brought some whiskey.
What?
I almost brought some whiskey because I was thinking about it the other day, just because it's this time of year with Dad drinking.
Right.
I was like,
Well, you weren't around yet. Well, you were around, but you weren't like listening to my show and stuff back then. But I did a whole like 3-part, 4-part or more episode of the show back when we were on Freedomizer Radio, which still does exist and there are shows on there, but we're no longer affiliated. That being stated, I did a whole series on alcohol and spirituality and the link between alcohol and demonic possession with spirituality and what demonic possession really was. And that tied into a series that we did on exorcisms.
Oh, cool.
And then that tied into like I have a whole, you know, all of it eventually led me around to Enoch and all the things that I was doing with that, and found what, you know, now Scarlett doesn't like me to refer to the Aquarian Gospels as a Bible. It's not a Bible.
It's more of a chapter. Book.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, they've made it a book.
Yeah.
You know,
well, the books of the Bible are called books.
You know, it is supposedly, you know, a philosophical, practical basis of the religion of the Aquarian age, and of the universal church. So, I mean, honestly, that's the Bible. I mean, you know. Oh, wow. And it was copyrighted, by the way. This was copyrighted in 1908.
Oh, wow.
It's old. It's not new. it's not, it's just been suppressed. They call it a book.
Yeah.
Okay, and the actual full title, because I just always say the Aquarian Gospels. But the full title is the Aquarian Age Gospel of Jesus the Christ of the Piscean Age.
Hmm.
And I went through all this like long ago. I'll have to go through it again with people. But like, what is an age? What's the Piscean Age? What's the Aquarian Age? What it means by the crisis, the word is used in the book. What relationship exists between Jesus of the Nazareth and Christ, and who's Levi, the transcriber. The Akashic records are talked about in here. So there's a lot of stuff in here that I should probably go over with people so that they understand. Which is in the introduction.
That is a refresher.
Yeah, as a refresher. So, I think on all subjects, they do call it a book. They do have it subject within a church, the Universal Church, which also is who I happen to be, oddly enough, ordained by the Universal Church. So, fact and point, they do call it a book. It is, old. I mean, it's from 1908. I don't see anything wrong with calling it. It's what I choose to give spiritual message from. I find truth in it. I agree with it. Again, it repeats messages from the Bible, from the Quran, from the Jewish Bible. I mean, it repeats stories, same as anything else. It kind of has revelations, it kind of has Psalms, it kind of has all that kind of stuff in here. It's just from
A different way of
that viewpoint of the 30 years and the different religions kind of all tied together, but not under different religions, because Jesus went around trying to unite everybody together in one big religion. And and doing that, he planted his seeds of truth. You find those seeds of truth within the religion, and you piece them together, and that is true religion. Or so theory. Okay. So that being said, next week's episode should be pretty good. Remember that this week we had our great guidance from the White Tara, and she's pretty peaceful lady. And that's a big message is that purification. And again, goes with that moon news of you're gonna start feeling more of down wanting to declutter. Purification goes along with that, and you need to watch your motives and your intentions, make sure that they're pure. Get rid of your fear, get rid of your competitions. You need your purification not just in your mind and soul, but your body and your diet. Maybe do some life adjustments. For your actions need to be in alignment with integrity and true belief. You're supported in your purifications this week. This will make sure that it's harmonious for you. so that it brings you and others in your life blessings with the purification, which is how purification should work.
Yeah.
You should be focusing on what you can do to kind of help others rather than what they can do to help you this week. Everything will go a little smoother for you then. And you need to make sure that you really, really remember about your loving thoughts for yourself as well as others, and avoid all those chemicals and toxins out there. Avoid any behavior that's going to lead to the feelings of guilt and shame or lower your self-esteem. And make sure that you get out of any situations this week that are out of integrity with your true beliefs. Okay, so remember, purify, purify, purify this week. This is gearing you up for that purification that's going to come off this next full moon cycle that we are headed strongly into right now. Okay. And I think we're going to wrap it up there. We've made it through everything. We've done pretty good. Hopefully next week I won't be running behind. But you know, again, it's live, things happen.
And birthing coming up. Your
Kidding is happening. I got fat girls out there. Just got the tractor came over. Thank you. My youngest went over and got the tractor, so the barn got all cleaned out and more of the ditch got filled this year, which is awesome because we have this like ravine ditch that runs through. And so we've been filling it with the compost from the barn and stuff so that it will become fertile. And then hopefully eventually my plan, nobody else really knows about it, but my plan is when it's all filled in, I want to just go plant stuff in there that is meant for them to eat. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to plant, because I do all of their worming and everything holistically, and I add it to the water. So my goal is to hopefully just be able to plant it like once or twice a year, and they just eat it at will, because they'll eat it if it's available. If they know that they need it, they know that they need it, and they will instinctually eat it.
That's true.
If it is available. So, you know, the thing is if I can get them to leave the stuff alone when I plant it. But I think if I do it, they won't really notice. If I do it during a feed time. You know, they're like totally distracted. Yeah. And then I can go over and plant.
And as it's growing big enough, then they might get curious. But
Right.
But you can always do some sort of netting or something.
Maybe. Yeah, we can figure it out.
If they go towards it, because they could be distracted.
Yeah, you know, so we'll see. But if nothing else, then it gives me good soil in there too. And I can always just take soil because I can keep refilling with, you know, stuff. And now it's got the horse manure. So that's nice because it helps fill up a little faster than just the goat. But we have the barn all cleaned out, and I haven't looked out there, but I'm pretty sure he probably did the whole sweep of the yard, the pasture and all, and has it all looking nice for the spring, because the girls are getting fat, babies are about to drop, stuff's about to go down.
Can't wait to see you.
And so before we had all that, he went ahead and cleaned the barn, did everything, so that's good. And that's done, and that's out of the way, and the house has come together nice. Things are starting to really actually come together and look like a house, a home. And you know, we got the fridge and we got the solar for the fridge. This other solar has been working really good for some small things, and So now I'm very aware that I really need to get some batteries and some things, but
Right.
you know, still dealing with a bunch of crap. And Easy-Act tea, guys. I have brewed quarts of Easy-Act tea available right now. They're $35, $35 a quart. And I can mail them anywhere. I can ship.
Why they come in pods or something? Or,
No, they'll
powder?
come in a quart jar,
Oh,
but I can mail it. Hey, stop it.
oh,
Get,
oh, wait.
get out of there. Get out of there.
Beautiful boy.
Because I have been doing that. And so I had forgotten to tell you all about that. I will get some more stuff together on Easy-Act tea because they have. I want to get my original writing about it. That I have. Yeah, that I have. So that I can go back to when I learned about it and when I was taught about it 15 years ago compared to what they're saying about it now. Totally two very different things. And but you know, they're trying to draw us away from the natural.
Yeah.
Because they need us to be dependent. But always keep in the back of your mind, any of the medicines that they're making are based on a natural.
Mm-hmm.
They just found a way to man-make the natural because they can't copyright a natural and they can't charge you for the natural like they can for something that they're making.
Yeah.
And most times, what they're making manually becomes addictive, whereas in nature, it is not addictive, which is also usually a big difference.
Like versus opiates and opium poppy.
Right. Or like kratom.
Oh, yeah.
Versus oxys.
Oh, yeah.
And even, you know, other opiates. Kratom is being used to help people come off of heroin and stuff like that. Like it can replace Suboxone.
What's Suboxone?
Suboxone is what, okay, so when they're addicted to heroin and they're coming off of heroin, they can't just come off heroin, so they get that Suboxone. And so kratom can be used in place of both heroin and Suboxone. So
that's cool.
Or to bring them off of it, you know, and still, I guess, keep them from the whole, I guess, whatever it is, the words are failing me.
Withdrawal process?
Withdrawals, yes. And to help eliminate those. So.
There was, what was it they called it in Richmond? There was, people would go to a methadone clinic. Get off of Xanax or something, I think. I don't remember what. But that was another one I'd heard of.
Yeah, methadone, kratom can help with that too. You know, kratom is one of them, but the FDA has been trying real hard to get a ban for those reasons.
Because they want to keep charging them.
You know, just like the fentanyl thing. And they talk a whole bunch of really big smack about it, but now they're like, we want to open up safe places to take fentanyl under a doctor's advice or your dealer's
Wow.
watchful eye or whatever. And it's just like, what really? Like, this is something specifically for our state too that our state is trying to do. They're getting ready to vote on it.
Because I knew they were doing it with mushrooms, but
Yeah, no, they're also getting ready to vote on this. Well, the mushroom thing has passed.
oh, that's very good. Oh, I didn't know about that.
But now they're getting ready to vote on this whole, like, they think that it's a good idea to do these legal, illegal drug places.
Right.
Like drug dens, like opium dens is what they've been compared to.
Maybe they
In the article that I read. They were comparing it to like an opium den that you can go to, that will be a safe haven for you to do heroin or fentanyl or any of the other hard drugs under supervision.
That's crazy.
Okay, listen, no.
Yeah.
You know, and then it was like this whole thing of you shouldn't feel bad if you want to do no, stop. If it is hurting you, if it is hurting others in your life or around you,
Right.
it's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
It is not good for you.
Right.
Drugs should not be a free-flowing, acceptable thing like this. If it is hurting you,
another may not be able to.
right. And if it's hurting you and if it's hurting others around you and in your life, you should feel bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you should feel bad if it's hurting you and others around you. You should feel a little bad maybe about that. And stop and fix it for yourself and then the others around you. Do you see what I mean? Like, when people need to become unaddicted, I don't want to use the word clean. Okay. Because to say clean would incite that they're dirty to begin with. And just because you do a drug doesn't make you dirty. You're just addicted to something.
Right.
And you shouldn't be addicted. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you become unaddicted to something, you usually replace it with
something else.
Like
me and cigarettes, it's now snacks.
Right. I've always been snacks, but now I'm like,
my
CBD.
snacks is mostly in the car though.
Yeah.
It's not really up around the house or doing anything. It's in the car still.
Right. And like, I do CBD now a lot. But I've also found that I need the CBD with THC for my particular cannabinoid system for everything to work in alignment for what I need it to do. All right. So we look forward to next week and next week's episode of Journey into Freedom. We covered what we would be talking about already. And, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen over the week. So we can't predict that part of the programming. But we will be here. Same bat station. Same bat place. As we used to say back in the day.
Same time, same
right?
channel or something like that.
And just be good. Be good to each other. Have an amazing week on purpose, purification, organization, balance. Keep these things in mind. Watch. Pay attention. Don't get caught up. Don't get distracted. Stay away from those chemicals and toxins. And, have a great week. Dare to be different. Dare to be you. Dare to learn to love yourself unconditionally. With that being said, good night and farewell.